I want to just cover this just on a theme, and then we'll do some other clips. For some reason, I'm actually having trouble getting into the call system. I was going to take some calls, but there's actually something going on with the system. But next week, I will get the calls, I promise, with Alona here. So this is a really dumb frame for this Politico article, and we could just start as a media critique, which is Bernie splits from Warren with embrace of far-left foreign leaders. Now, number one, Bernie has had a form of foreign policy since the 1980s, whereas Elizabeth Warren herself has said in interviews that basically she didn't think about huge swaths of politics until basically being in her 50s. So, I don't know what, if LeBron goes and does a practice session, is he following our lead and taking up basketball practice? It's insane, the frame of it. Then far left leaders, I'm sorry guys, Lula da Silva and Evo Morales are not far left leaders. They're people trying to deliver basically new deals for societies in the global south that are encumbered by Western capital. But that being said, I think what's really great about this article, and I have to say really gratifying from the work and fundamental mission of this show and this election and way beyond it, is this line from Josh Horton, who's a Sanders advisor. Bernie's the only candidate who has a comprehensive foreign policy vision to stand up to the growing movement of anti-democratic authoritarianism worldwide and find solidarity with working people around the world who in many cases share common needs. And that is really fundamentally important because that's going to be a baseline for a global Green New Deal, for thinking strategically about how you actually manage foreign policy as power dynamics shift, particularly in Asia, for actually finally getting out U.S. presence in the Middle East, and of course for stopping coups and interference, but also recognizing that we have a foreign policy and an apparatus to actually work constructively. Now pair that with the just absolutely just obscene NDAA that was just passed, the defense budget that was just passed by Congress. And essentially what happened was that there were progressives in the House that stuck in some very useful measures. It went to conference, the Democratic leadership didn't fight for it, and now we come out with a bill that Bernie Sanders and Ro Khanna have called an astonishing moral cowardice. Sanders and Khanna denounce a $738 billion bipartisan Pentagon giveaway. I'm going to quote now. This bill does nothing to rein out of control military spending, prevent an unconstitutional war against Iran, limit the poisoning of Americans' drinking water, or end the obscenity of innocent children in Yemen being killed by U.S. bombs. This is from Common Dreams. After House and Senate negotiators reached an agreement Monday on a massive military spending measure, Senator Bernie Sanders and Congressman Ro Khanna condemned the bipartisan compromise as a bill of astonishing moral cowardice that will hand $738 billion in 2020 to the military while doing nothing to end U.S. complicity in the Saudi Arabia's assault on Yemen. One of the things that's happening in this bill is that it actually has a tease, basically, where it bans the U.S. refueling of Saudi jets, which Trump and MBS voluntarily ended last year. So it's something that already doesn't exist. There's no rein on any of the giveaways to Saudi or Emirati governments. There's nothing on the AUMF, including blocking it to be used for an assault on Iran. And Joseph Cirincione says there's no policy in terms of nukes. There's only money for upgrading our arsenals. So this is the type of thing. And now I would suspect that Warren, in the context of a primary with Bernie Sanders putting these issues on the table, might very well vote against this. But she voted for 3 Trump military budgets increases. And we have leaders like Nancy Pelosi have no problem continuing to aid famine in Yemen because there's a huge amount of pork and giveaways to go around, which the vast majority of both parties are complicit in. So these kind of like big grand questions have very on the ground implications for whether or not we're going to do something like back genocide in Yemen. I'm sorry to be, relatively heavy in the post game, but this just dropped today and we need to be on it really urgently. You just watched a Michael Brooks show video. Subscribe to get them all. Why wouldn't you? Don't be foolish. Click subscribe below and become a patron as well. Patreon.com/TMBS. Thanks, everybody.